Welcome to Social Links OSINT interview. My name is Dmitry Danilov, also known as Soxoy. I'm head of OSINT Center of Excellence in Social Links. Today with us, Bruno Mortier, head of Security Intelligence Services in BDO, investigator of Forensic Risk and Compliance team, and former police officer with over 25 years of investigations. Hi, Bruno.
Yeah, thank you. Pleased to meet you, and thank you for the introduction. So at BDO, I'm head of corporate intelligence services. I have been practicing OSINT before I knew that there was an acronym for OSINT. BDO, the investigations are mainly fraud investigations, financial crime investigations, and of course due diligence. About 70 to 80% of our investigations are in emerging nations. For instance, Vietnam, Indonesia, China, Poland, Turkey, Venezuela, Nigeria, Ghana. I never know which country is going to come next. So prior to joining BDO, I worked 7 years in supply chain security, doing loss prevention and according to ISPS code. Due to a weird twist of fate, supply chains are staying with me. So I will give you 2 examples. Everybody wants to know if they have Russian in their supply chain. So a lot of my current work is focused on that. Russia allows companies to redact information in the Russian corporate records. But fortunately, there is always anecdotal evidence. So my team will always be able to find it. Also in Russia, everything can be bought, even information from closed sources. So, and then the other supply chain item is that Germany followed the lead of the Americans in making laws against forced labor in the supply chain. And China would like to hide forced labor, weapon sales, malign investments. We definitely have our task cut out for us there. It's less transparent than it used to be. Doing due diligence in China has gotten more difficult. The Chinese authorities closed the due diligence company, and all the 5 staff members of that company are still in detention. Also, some people have been affected with an exit ban, but fortunately we can still get everything that we need to do due diligence remote. And September 2022, China started geo-blocking due diligence sources. But fortunately, we still can get the Chinese IPs via VPN, so this helps us to continue to do our due diligence work. Surprisingly, supply chains are here to stay and are definitely a core part of our investigations.
Perfect. Thanks. As I understand, you have a background in many different kind of OSINT processes, like asset tracing, brand protection, so not only supply chains. And from your opinion, what the most difficult part of work for analysts faced with such cases?
So the most difficult part for an analyst is helping the client formulate his or her information needs. It is always good to start with an answerable question. An open question like, give me everything about Nigeria or give me everything about person X is not a good place for an analyst to start. And it's been our experience that we always have to help the client to formulate the information needs. So if you have an unspecific goal at the outset, this is not going to produce any good results.
Okay, totally agree. It's really a very important part of the process. Could you please share with our viewers some interesting cases where social media investigation helped to solve the issue?
Social media rarely solves cases. It usually provides context. But nevertheless, in some cases, social media does provide us with a very good lead. For instance, in asset tracing, the Facebook post gave us a lead to property, and in procurement fraud, the Google reviews gave us lead to that someone in charge of procurement and the supplier were very, very close together. This was actually done with Maltego and with social links, a very, very nice social links tool. And the third one is pivoting of a username in anti-counterfeit investigations, and then identifying the real name Facebook profile of one of our targets.
Great, thanks. I've read your article, Leveraging Open Source Intelligence in Investigations, and it contains a lot of interesting things, so I'm going to ask you about some of them.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So first of all, how much do you stick to OPSEC rules in investigations? Because you wrote that it's really important to use virtual machine in some cases, but is it possible to work from it for 100% of time?
Well, your threat model is not my threat model, so it definitely depends on the threat model. So in an assignment, we check, okay, what level of confidentiality does the client expect, and what level of operational security do I need? So this can also be dictated in some companies by policy. This is very variable. For instance, the team that is doing the anti-money laundering regime, they are not using a VPN and are also not using a virtual machine because it would not be necessary. So it always depends on the case and on specific threat model you have. So if you have a nation state in your threat model, then you have your work cut out for you.
Totally agree. Thank you. Another one very cool part of this article was about investigative accounts, so-called sock puppets, and need to take appropriate names and like related difficulties. It's a really great topic, and I personally created even some guide about usage of usernames in OSINT investigations. So from your experience, what the most difficult in work with it, and maybe what funny or like remarkable cases you had?
Did you know that there's a market for counterfeit airplane parts, also called unapproved parts? Just 3 months ago, Chicago-based United identified counterfeit parts in airplane engines. This has been around all the time, but there's a scandal since August based on a London AOG company, and airplane engines from Boeing and from Airbus are affected. There also have been counterfeit parts found in nuclear plants. So it's not just your iPhone charger or your Nike shoes. And one of the core things of anti-counterfeit investigations is that you have to set up investigative identities in order to do test purchases. So the next step would be identifying all the actors in the supply chain and then mitigating this issue, in essence, doing a takedown at the end. So creating these investigative identities and also creating fake companies in order, as an investigator, to be able to buy counterfeit products is really fun, and it's something I really enjoy, and I also recommend everyone to create their own investigative identities, to do it by hand and not just buy it.
Sounds amazing. Thanks.
Yeah.
Another one question, not related to this topic, but still, what do you think how the whole OSINT sphere will be changed in next few years? And will AI and ML things play a key role in security investigations at all?
So artificial intelligence already plays a key role now. So natural language programming, this is already part of all the tools we use. So artificial intelligence, it's a blessing and it's a curse. It will make our work easier. It will make our work harder. For instance, if you can see the latest technology for creating deep fakes, then you know that the art of verification has become a lot more difficult. So if you want to verify information, you have your work cut out for you. It's going to be quite a challenge.
I think that like despite of having tools with AI for processing a lot of posts in social media, a lot of accounts like in a bulk mode, OSINT analysts still need to have a lot of like manual work. And what the most important skill for a OSINT analyst in your opinion?
So the most important skill for an OSINT analyst is advanced persistent curiosity and the ability to adapt. So these are the two most important skills. I also talked about this in an interview on OSINT jobs. So also my team, they are very curious and very inquisitive.
Cool. It's really great to
Yeah.
have such team members. I agree. And could you advise to our viewers some tools, maybe just give an advice what to read, what to watch to become like a more experienced?
Tools are just enablers, so it's never really about the tools. I have a public OSINT framework which lists some of the tools. For instance, on Facebook, it's not because you can that you should. It's not because you can download all the Facebook friends that you should. So you always have to keep in mind what's the value? What's the value of the tool? What is the value of the thing that I'm doing right now? Recommending a tool would be a bit like a doctor recommending medicine to a patient without checking what's wrong with the patient. There is one tool that I can recommend to everyone, regardless if I know what you're doing or not, and that's Hunchly. Hunchly, created by Just Insights. Go get Hunchly. For instance, in our work, if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. So this is definitely one of the most important base tools that you should have.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Used Hunchly, so yeah, agree. The next questions maybe will be a little bit like unexpected. So I know that you're a big fan of Obsidian. And software for like knowledge management at all. So could you recommend to our viewers start to use it, or like you just get to some point where you will understand that it's necessary for you?
I was one of the early adopters, and I think it's an awesome tool. It's my second brain, and it's a place where you put information, but not copy and paste information, but things you wrote yourself, information in your own words. And I use it when I read a book to make notes, and I make these notes in my own words and then put them into Obsidian. Obsidian is also a place where you can put your checklists. I mean, OSINT, 80% of OSINT is lists, and 20% is practicing your art. But it's worthwhile to stick around for practicing your art.
Cool, cool. I'm using Obsidian for maybe 1.5 years for different purposes. So I use for my work. I like started to make a new OSINT framework for social media intelligence in Obsidian. I think it's really a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I love it.
Okay, the next question, has the work with cryptocurrencies become a part of asset tracing for last years?
Yeah, so cryptocurrencies, it's definitely part of asset tracing. We also look for it in email reviews. It's also part of financial crime, anti-money laundering. The regulatory drivers are definitely going to make more business. And I can recommend to check out Amanda Wick on LinkedIn or womanincrypto.org. These are two very cool sources.
Thank you. The next question will be about DarkWeb. Do you use DarkWeb sources at all, and what do you think about like their value?
Most of our work is not related to DarkWeb sources. Occasionally we use it, but then we prefer to do it via third parties. Like using DarkOwl or using social links. In essence, our work is always about a person, a company, or a subject of interest. And it's either we're looking at the past or we are looking at the future. If we are looking at the future, it's called monitoring or digital listening. But definitely, OSINT is open source intelligence is a very exciting field.
What about predictive analysis? Is it a part of monitoring and like what you said?
It can be part of monitoring, yeah. But I find that also with the AI tools that sentiment monitoring, that's not always working out. Currently you still need a human to look at the end results.
Of course. Even like the modern, the last ChatGPT versions, they're very useful to extract topics, to extract sentiments from posts from social media. But in the end, you will get like a 20% of the most important information. But later, like if you need to dig deeper, you should do it like manually. You didn't recommend something from tools. I got your point. Yeah, but maybe something not like a commercial, maybe some free stuff that like in your mind is a part of like everyday toolkit of OSINT analyst.
Part of your everyday toolkit should be a place where you can keep your sources, links to sources, links to tools. So we have an extensive framework with sources in China, with sources in Russia. When you're doing open source intelligence, you need to organize yourself. And if you do this in Excel or in Obsidian or on a mind map, or you are using Start Me pages, you will need to find a way to organize your sources and your links to the tools.
By the way, your Start Me lists are really great, really long and useful. Yeah, and I noticed that like you took, maybe you was the first who took OSINT alias in Obsidian publish in linkter.ee and other sources.
That's the benefit of being an early Obsidian adopter. Yes.
Bruno, thanks for such an amazing interview. It was a pleasure speaking with you and getting to your experience. Maybe you can say a couple of words for our watchers.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. It's been a pleasure, and I hope whoever is listening will get some value out of this. If you're speaking German and English at a C1 or C2 level and another language like Russian, Arabic or Chinese, you're welcome to reach out to me. Thank you very much.
If you are interested in OSINT in investigations, please follow the links in the description of this video and explore social links materials about cybersecurity, due diligence, brand protection, and so on. Also, we will put links to Bruno's resources, knowledge base, and social media accounts. So stay tuned for more videos, subscribe to our channel, and put the thumbs up. Bye!